Without further ado, we have Craig Smith, Dave Beringer, and Annie, I'm sorry, what's your last name?
Henson.
Annie Henson, so.
He didn't read the email, Andy. Don't give him help.
Not necessarily in that order.
Get smack around a little bit. Howdy, boys and girls. My name is Annie. Hi, Annie. Oh, please. Hello, boys and girls. My name is Annie. Hi, Annie. Okay, I feel better now. Thank you. Let's see. I got a Craig and a Dave here. Oh, I want you guys to come out here and man the hoop. Come on, guys. Don't be
You gotta
shy.
jump through it.
I won't hurt you. Only a little. They see me with the stick, they scared. All right, Dave, come here and be my bowl. And Craig, be my tool. Okay, just to keep it steady, we're going to keep it here on the things. You're the bowl, you go like this. Okay? What's this thing? Oh no, it's the catch. Dun, 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 and it's sliding. See if I can tighten up my catch a little bit.
For this demonstration, it might be actually a little long.
You need a better edge
Fall
on
chips,
that.
right?
And here's your tool rest.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Here comes the catch, and look where he is. He's got his tool above center.
That's because I'm short.
That's because you're short. So, when this thing comes around and it catches him, what's going to happen to his tool?
Gonna dig in.
It's
Gonna fly up and
dig
hit him in the chin, like that.
knock out a couple teeth, maybe? All right. What if his tool rest is down here? What happens?
Push it away.
Here comes the catch. What happens now?
Still gonna fly up.
It'll fly up, but who said?
It'll push it away.
Push it away. Push the tool,
Pull away.
not,
Won't dig in.
won't dig in. Why?
Because it has room to get
The
away from
angle
it.
of the sap.
It's got room to get away. Okay. Is this making sense to everybody? This is what you do on the outside of a bowl. Now what if Craig here is turning the inside of the bowl?
No, it will catch.
Sorry?
It will catch if he's on the inside.
And he's, so does he want to be higher or lower?
Still wants to be at center, but a little bit higher.
A little bit higher on the inside. Does that make sense?
No.
We have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Come here, Craig. Now you're over here. Make your arm be a tool rest. And he's below center. Here comes the catch. What happens?
Dig in.
Dig in, big time, right? And do you see why? Let's raise him up a little bit. Above center. Well, not so much tipping, but raising your tool rest. We're going to exaggerate it here. Here it comes. What's going to happen? We're going to knock it out of the way, not ruin the blank, not ruin the wood. Okay? When you're, sorry? Go ahead, I want to hear it. Don't be shy, I won't hurt you. Just a little.
The only thing I know is that trees grow out of the ground. I would say maybe it should be lower. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it should be lower? Let's see what happens when it's lower. This thing comes around, catches the tool. The tool has no choice but to dig into the wood. You had a 50-50 shot on that. I'm proud of you for taking a shot. If you're turning the inside of the bowl, your tool rest needs to be higher. If you're turning the outside of the bowl, where does your tool rest need to be?
Lower.
I'm so proud of you all. Thank you, Craig. Thank you.
My
Dave.
pleasure.
Thank you, boys. You boys are so nice to me. Now, what the heck does that have to do with what I'm talking about? Well, I'll tell you. When you are coring, I'll show you some stuff that I have cored. This was my first attempt at coring. Nice pretty piece of cherry. For example, when I was coring this part out of here, you're actually coring the outside of one bowl and the inside of the other bowl at the same time. What do you do now? Higher, lower? Ah! Run screaming with your hair on fire? You actually have to be dead on center. Anybody here have coring systems? So am I correct in saying you got to be right on center?
I think that's the best.
Yep, I would say you have to be on center.
We have a consensus.
Pretty damn close to center.
Pretty damn. All right. This was my first attempt. The reason I got the coring system that I did is that it's pretty flexible. Poured out this, poured out this nice bowl. What I had left was just too tall and skinny, so I wanted to lower it down a little bit. Cut this off. I got a nice little mirror frame. Took another core out of there. I had a lot of fun coring this stuff out. I don't know if you can do that with the other one.
That is the most, if I can make a comment, and I don't mean to be, that is the most misused piece of information that people offer with the coring systems. I own both of them.
I'm glad to hear that.
And to be quite honest with you, they're both designed to turn radius. You can't, if you're trying to turn something other than the radius that's on the knife, you need to alter either the knife or you need to make the groove wider. I don't care which system you use. And they're both designed to turn the radius. It's the approach and thinking out of the box that gets you some flexibility. And you can do whatever you can do on one, I know you can do on the other.
Booyah.
So
That is good
it's
to
true.
know.
No, it's true. I mean, I don't mean that to be, but that's one of the most. And I was, when I bought both systems, and I don't want to belabor this, but one system, yeah, it's more flexible. That's not necessarily true.
Did you have that idea though when you bought?
Yes, I did, and I
Yeah?
think it's totally. And I'll show you a bit later. I think it's full of crap, and people will tell you it's full. Some people will tell you that, but it's. Unfortunately, I think with either of these systems, none of them come with. They come with a video, but if you just looked at the video, I don't know if yours even does. There's videos online for the McNaughton, and if you want to do, there's two things you can do with either of these systems. You can core out bowls, or you can be a little bit inventive and core out different items. And if you want to core out different items, you have to think out of the box. And you have to develop a method or watch some other videos on YouTube to see how it's done. But they're both very equally as flexible, I would tell you.
That is good to know.
I mean, because she's passing a knife, a curved knife, through fingers that are up front. Well, if I pass a curve through fingers, it's going to end up, that curve's going to be transported beyond the points of tangency of those two fingers. I could pass it through straight here, but that curve goes on the other side.
Whoa.
And it's no different than the one-way system. It's a curved knife.
It's a curved knife. It just is.
They're both curved. If
All
you
right.
try cutting straight with them, you'll bend a knife.
Speaking of instructions, here are the instructions that I got. And this is a couple of pages. Not even 2 pages full of instructions. And this was provided by Craft Supplies, which is where I bought the system. That's about the only tool I've ever seen where instructions are sold separately. Did you get instructions with yours?
Got to the video.
I didn't
One-way
get
comes
video.
with the video.
Yeah, you could purchase the video separately, and I didn't.
One way they send you a video.
Ah,
McNaughton has a number of videos, though, on their site. There are links to them.
yeah, there's tons of videos online.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
You have a microphone.
There's a really good one by a guy named Robo Hippie. I
Right.
can never remember his regular name, but Robo Hippie really sticks in my head, so that's a good one. But here are the knives. And here is the thing Dave was talking about with the fingers, okay? This says you can get the micro system, which includes a 3-pin head and 4 blades. I have, how many blades do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Large system includes a 5-pin head and 3 blades, 5-pin head and 7 blades. I don't really know which one I
I
have.
think you probably have the
Combined?
regular, standard and the large
I
is
think
usually
so.
how they're sold. And
Okay.
you have to buy the mini and the micro separate.
Okay. I didn't see the point in saving mini shavings.
She's on the overhead. You didn't hear what I said? I said she probably has the standard and large. That's generally the way it's sold. There's 2 other systems that she mentioned, a micro and a mini. You have to buy those separately, but this, her adapter, her setup jig with the pins in handles all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
don't need to-
What I've got here is the pins, but it's not really about the pins. It's about the space between the pins. Okay? And they call those gates. Thank you, Craig. Such a nice young man. What's going to happen, if you can get it put together right, is the knife goes. There are various forms of this thing here, this turret or tool rest or whatever you want to call it. They all have one thing in common though. There are pins, spaces between the pins, and there's something back here that you hold your tool up against. It might be in the form of a crossbar. I think yours is a crossbar.
Mine's a crossbar.
There are some other ones, but they all have this in common, that the tool must be held up against whatever that is.
Before you touch the wood.
Yeah, before you touch the wood.
Because it will be right after you touch it.
Bam! Bam!
It doesn't matter.
I don't think
One of the first things you'll notice when you start looking at videos on this subject is the first thing they start talking about is, here's how I changed, manipulated, what's the word I'm looking for?
resharpen the knives, is that what you're saying?
No, here's how I changed the system to work for me. They'll drill a hole here and make this not swivel, do a couple of other things. The only thing I did was to take this knob off. And I'll tell you why. Sorry? It's kind of in the way, yeah. But I also got this system of a laser thing, laser pointer, doodad picky. Oh, come on, you gotta go on. The McNaughton system does have a laser pointer, but it only fits the McNaughton system. This will fit anything. So I thought, okay, I like the flexibility of that. And the only thing I had to adjust or change about it was to take the knob off. I think McNaughton maybe added the knob to defeat this, but it wasn't that hard to get around. And then there's an arm that goes over here and holds the laser, and that way you know exactly where your tool is. Am I following me on that?
That's clever.
I like it.
Yeah, the laser obviously would be on the tip of the...
Oh, look at this, I had it right here. I came prepared. Whoa. Thank you. Did I unsharpen that pretty drastically?
No, nothing, it hit the back.
Won't fit the handle anymore, but it's sharp.
Yeah, it won't fit the handle. That's Craig's problem, all right?
Yep, that's Craig's. He's got to deal with that. Come on.
There it is.
There, it's on. And the interesting thing about this is that it won't stay on for very long. I kind of like that. It tells me where I am, and then it shuts off. And if I want to know where I am, I turn it back on again. Okay. You got one handle, all the tools fit that one handle. And you have another Allen wrench to add to your supply of Allen wrenches. I think if we all brought in our Allen wrenches and recycled them, we could make some money. You know? Don't you think?
I don't know who from because everybody else has it.
Everybody got Allen wrenches. I want to do
Never the
this.
one you want, though,
Now what I want to do here is put my tool right on center. Am I right there?
Yeah.
Booyah. And screwdriver. There it is. I have this little doodad here, and I learned fairly quickly that it's not enough. What do they call these things? Hose clamp?
Hose clamps.
I have a hose clamp, and I tighten it down as hard as I possibly can, which is probably not that hard, because when I get a catch, the tool rest will sink in.
What catch?
And I tighten this one as well. Another system I saw of doing that is to turn a little tube and set it on here so your tool rest is always where it should be. Okay,
Yeah,
This
cylinder with a
tool.
hole.
comes to center. Am I on the overhead camera?
Yes, you are.
All right. Notice this, that the
Come
bottom
over there,
tool,
You can see what you...
yeah, the bottom tool is bigger than the top tool. Can you see that? Okay.
Rotate your hands like this.
Rotate my hand like so.
Yeah.
TV. Look at the TV. It's very confusing to me because it's backwards. Okay, this one's thicker. Is it going to wind up in the same place? Still a goop on it. If I go through here, oh no, I'm too high. If I go where it's supposed to be, here, oh look, I'm still on center. No matter which tools I'm using, once this thing is set, the tools will always be at center, if I'm in the proper gate. Big wide tool goes in this last gate here. I thought originally it was about how far apart these things are, but it's not. Because this fits equally well between these gates and this gate. I got out my calipers and measured, they're exactly the same.
So the turret is stepped?
So what?
The turret is stepped?
Yes.
Yes.
The turret is stepped. We don't have a really good view of that, but you know, can you see that now? Yeah. Fatter tool, thinner, thinner. Very skinny tool.
So it's also, like you said, step per height.
Mm-hmm. We have Stepford tools. All right, now, how do I get ready to use this lovely, lovely system? I don't think I want this tool. Can you throw that over there for me, Craig? You are a gentleman and a scholar, but I knew that.
Trying to keep that quiet.
Try and keep that quiet? Okay. That Craig is nothing but trouble. Did you guys know that about him?
They do.
They knew that. Okay. I showed you my first attempt at coring. Where's my second attempt?
Once you found out what you were doing, right?
Once I figured out what I was doing, this is a nice little nested set. This one keeps falling out, I keep losing it, but it is a solid chunk of wood. You can see that there are holes here where I used a faceplate to mount my blank. Had it mounted on a faceplate that left holes. I thought, well, that's not going to be a problem. I'll just put my kerf where the holes are. That didn't work out so well. How do you mount yours? Terry, is it? Do you use a faceplate to mount your?
Usually not.
Usually not, yeah. I got this one, I got this one. Here I started learning that you can really shove this thing around and you can go deeper, you can go shallower, you can steer. And I steered myself wrong. I made a lovely lampshade. It's a really nice lampshade, which is a shame. Sorry, Dave, about ruining your nice wood blank that you brought in. It would have been a good day to use the laser, and I've sort of gotten more in the habit of using the laser. as I've gone along.
Andy, if you talk to Dave Dudley, he'll teach you how to put a bottom in that.
He will? What does it look like?
A bowl with a bottom put in it.
See Gene Schwartzlander.
How many here on the bottom of your bowls turn a recess? How many here turn a spigot?
Oh, for turning, I get
A spigot? We're about 50-50? Yeah, you, okay. Have no idea what I'm talking about? And not a clue. I'm a recess girl, but I thought I would try the whole spigot idea.
I think that's it.
No, that's not it. Where's my spigot? Did all my lights come in?
Dave has one with a spigot on it, if you want to see that.
Okay, well anyway, I got catch after catch after catch and it broke my spigot off. Just split it right off, the bowl fell off the lathe, the whole schmear. Yeah, that's a spigot. And it,
Did you have a flat on it?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, and it broke. It just smashed. So then I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to do the recess because that's what I'm used to. I didn't make a deep enough recess. I didn't leave enough meat and potatoes, and that's the first time I've ever broken a recess.
So it can happen to either.
Yeah,
That's what it tells me. It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Well, in theory, I think when you're turning a spigot, the force is coming in this way, okay? And it's converging here in the center, so it almost wants to break, I'm thinking. But it did break right on the grain line.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're turning a recess, then the forces are all going out. And I think it's a little bit
Yeah,
more
it broke
spread
right
out.
along the grain
And
line.
right there
It's the same.
is where it broke. What was my mistake? What did I do wrong here?
You got a catch.
This is permanent. What did I do wrong here?
You should have put a tennis on.
Should have put
Too much force going out.
too much force going out, so I cranked my what you call it, chuck too hard?
Too hard.
Ah, come on. I'm just a girl. How hard can I crank it? Pretty hard.
Depends how long the handle you put on.
But I'm working with it.
One of the things, if I can make a comment though, one of the things, just real quick, is when you're working with real green wood, it does pay every now and again to go check and make sure you are still tight, whether you're in a recess or a tenon, because what can happen is that you're squeezing water out.
That was the very next words out of my face.
And
Thank you for
that
saying
can
it for
happen
me.
then. Yeah. Sorry.
I was working with green wood. This is still pretty darn green. And I maybe cranked it a little too hard for that very reason. Because I know I'm going to have to tighten and tighten again, so why don't I, get a head start on it. And I got what I thought was a pretty enthusiastic catch right there. Ripped up some wood. Can you guys see that?
That's right on there.
Bam! And this is actually, and I don't even know how many years of turning, the first time I've broken a recess. I think what I did wrong was I didn't put enough meat and potatoes here.
Not deep enough yet.
Could be. I would agree with that.
Not so much not deep enough, but there wasn't enough here. I should have turned this a little further down the bowl, so that when I'm turning this exact size hole, there's more here. Is that making sense? I see the brow knitting over here. Is this, yeah? Yes! So, that's what I want to do. How are we doing on time? There's no clock in this room, which is really...
It's 25 after. 25 after. Yeah.
How do you mount these bad boys? When you're first, you have to get something on the bottom of the bowl in order to hold it on the lathe. Yes? How in the heck do you do that? You turn or actually you, what's it called? Drill a hole and use your screw chuck, screw worm, however you say that. And hold it on the lathe that way. And you make the bottom of your bowl. Or you can, no you can't. I lied.
See, with the tenon, you could start between centers if you want. And then you can't really, well, you can do the same thing with the recess, Andy.
Yeah?
In your recess, to be quite honest with you, there's no reason to clear the whole center.
There's
All
no
the way to-
reason to what?
Clear all the way to center. You really only need a gap to get your jaws in and expand it against. So you could have your tailstock up against it and just create a channel. So you could do it between centers. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. You could go between centers if you just want to find out where you are.
No, you could turn the whole, you could turn the, yeah, but you could also turn the whole thing. In other words, this doesn't all need to be done. You could have you need help or.
Thank you, Craig. Why did I get it laid this big? So I could turn big pieces of
We've
wood.
got two guys up there that are not gentlemen because they help you with that.
Oh, boys,
We
boys.
asked.
No, they are gentlemen. They are respecting my abilities and my strength and waiting to be asked. That's what gentlemen do. Oh, gentlemen.
Well,
Throw that bad boy out.
do you want to, well, you have your screw chuck in here.
I do. I want it on the screw chuck.
Okay.
Bar is a whole bar.
You want to turn your lathe on slow or
Mm,
are you chicken?
I'm chicken. I have tried doing this by myself. So look here. Look what we have. We have a spindle lock. You ever see a spindle lock in here before?
It's one of the deficiencies of this lathe.
Yeah, but now I have put a spindle lock on.
Speak up a little bit, Andy, our sound system isn't working that well.
Testing, testing. Thank you. I had stepped back. Okay, so I have this now on the screw. I can, Craig, can I have my other, my tool rest, yes. That's what it's called. I'm in the word seeking stage of my life. So when you hear me say, what is that thing? It's an appendage, it's an upper body appendage, and you say arm, and I'm
Is that pre-dementia or what?
pre-dementia, pre-Alzheimer's.
I used to remember what that was called.
I know what it is, I just can't think of it. So I don't think, can we take this camera for a second?
Sure.
I don't think that I have enough meat and potatoes here to hold this big bad boy because it's freaking heavy. It's not just heavy, it's freaking heavy, and I want more here. So, how are we doing? That's not too bad. Come on, baby. I may have it turned down too low. There we go. That's not too bad. Take this off. We'll speed up. You know, there's a tool for that. There's a thing for that. Anybody got one of these?
Good catch.
How that can possibly?
Because it's going to take, I'd bring the tailstock up.
I think we will.
I'm sure glad they do that too. See, now you know why you don't want to sit there.
Why? He had to pick the blank up, that's all he did. I think, to be quite honest with you, you probably just have a little bad center here, so.
That could be, I've been on and off it.
You're right in the core, you're right in the, pith.
Right in the pith.
so her hole's probably in the pith, it's kind of loose where she's drilled.
Hate when that happens. So we're gonna go into the tailstock and use that for support. What a cool idea that is, huh? I love how smoothly this turns. I want to know what's
She just
wrong
did
with
that
it
so you'll
tomorrow.
feel comfortable in your shop when it happens to you.
See, if I show you what the common mistakes are, you'll know what to avoid.
And no drama, you'll be falling asleep.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Just don't put it
That's
next
the
to
ticket.
the block wall.
Now, do you see? See this thing I have up against the bottom of the bowl? It is not pointed. It's blunt. And I looked and looked and looked until I found something that would do that, that would hold the bowl without making a hole in it. And it's part of this Nova Live Center system. That's the one feature I really wanted from this system was the dead head. Fred, if you please. Thank you, darling. And I forgot my face shield. Bad girl.
Oh, here it is, it's over there.
Now, has anybody got a tape measure on them?
Yeah.
Or calipers? I want 5 inches
There.
on a caliper.
You want a 2.5?
Got a pencil, anybody?
Hold it.
That ought to do it.
You got it marked there.
Here we go, Annie.
Yeah, gosh, you're good to me.
16.
All right, I got one. I think he was right about there.
Here, you want me to put it up again? 2.5 inches?
Yeah. There we go. Okay. An assistant helps so much.
Yeah, see that?
What would I do without these guys helping me, huh? All right. Got a net. Now, I can't get a tool to go here, and that used to frustrate the heck out of me until I figured out a way. I saw somebody actually had a tool that they made, so I took, I don't even know what this tool used to be, but I turned it into a recess making hickey. Bang. Raise my tool rest. Going to train at or above center, like you do with a scraper. Bring down my speed a little bit. Then I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to eyeball this so that this blade is parallel to the bedways of the lathe, because I really can't tell whether I'm doing this or this. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Kind of eyeball it, get it parallel to the bedways of the old lady. And when it bottoms out, I know I'm there, because I've measured it up against the jaws of my thing. Chuck. Pretty cool, huh? You know how you prevent Turner's elbow?
Don't turn.
Pop that bad boy on there. Isn't that cool? Now then, I want my...
I would just emphasize, if you're doing this too, that you really, not only is that angle on the side that she cut important, it's also important that you make sure the bottom is cleaned up, because you develop, are you okay? Because you develop a lot of this strength in that kind of an interface from this front face of the chuck as well, and the joint between where the side expands out and presses the front of the chuck up against the base of the bowl. So you have to have that corner cleaned out pretty well, and the bottom face of that tenon of the recess cleaned out, so that that chuck sits on all of those faces. In order to, otherwise you're not close to developing the strength that the chuck will give you.
I mean, it's similar to a screw, a bolt. When you put a bolt on, it's really the head pulling down into the surface that, you can wiggle, generally you can wiggle threads a bit. It doesn't get tight till it mates up against the back. So, I mean,
The same idea.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Same idea.
That's true.
And that's true whether it's a tenon or a recess. If it's a tenon, same idea. You have to have that corner clean, a clean face across the face of the chuck,
5 inches.
as well as a clean cut down the taper.
Should have measured it before I took it off of there. Not quite big enough. Don't you hate when this happens? How many here own a lathe? Any size lathe? How many of you do not own a lathe?
Who knew?
Come on, how many of you are abstaining? Nobody's abstaining, huh? We didn't quite have 5 inches. I'm sad to say. One and a day. And I'm really wearing out this setup for you. Yes, please, thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I'll take back some of that stuff I said about you.
Oh, please don't. Not in front of everybody.
Oh. We're pretty close, but we don't have a banana just yet. No cooking.
That's it.
Include, what's that for? Got some skins. More skins. You don't want this recess to be too deep. You want this face of your jaws to be all the way to the bottom of this hole. If it's not all the way to the bottom, your hole's down to here and the hole goes this way. If your jaws slip and go in a little deeper than you had it set, then you've lost control of the length. So it needs to bottom out. So this can't be too deep. It can only be as deep as your jaws will go. And I have that pretty well measured out here. Oh look, a spindle one.
I'm going to haul this back out for you.
Yeah, thank you. There we go.
You have a spindle on it, don't you?
Yes, I do. Not the sharp one, that's why.
Very squeaky, that's.
Right is wide, left is little. On a Novichok.
It's backward.
I just think righty whitey, lefty little. Oh, thanks. You come in handy. That stuff your mom told me was not right, huh?
Yeah.
where we get rid of this tool rest. Go to the, what do they call it? You call this a turret?
Turret, that's what I call it.
Craig, it's all yours.
What do you want me to do?
Pour me some bowls, would you? Pour me some bowls. This is green wood, so we're not going to be making one of those beautiful systems where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 bowls nested. Okay?
I'll be lucky to get one out of that, maybe two.
Yeah, I should have gotten rid of this crap. We probably still should.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Wouldn't worry about it.
Take care of it on your board.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Just accommodate, make your board.
You got pretty. Sorry?
What's that diameter?
Whopping big. I'd say about
Yeah.
18 inches. It's a 20-inch
That's-
swing.
I'd say it's gonna be about 15 or 16, right? 16 1/4. Remember,
Is this what you want to use?
Ah, yes, you're right.
Is this the right
You're
side?
right.
Yeah,
Any side
just
you
make
want.
sure you're inside that her thing so she can turn it away later. He's crap. I'm just trying to make it.
Is this too big? I can't see what else.
I think you
Let me talk about sharpening for a second. See there. When you go to sharpen the tool, I got a diamond card here. Do you sharpen up or do you sharpen down?
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter.
When you're sharpening on the wheel's coming down. All right.
Again, the most important thing, and I don't want to be to step on her comment, but these knives from McNaughton are basically cold rolled steel or normal steel for the blade, and that's very good. The real money end of it, there's a thin layer of tool steel on top, so you don't want to regrind, grind that away because there's a limited amount of it, and you can see there's about an inch or so there. So the idea is that you grind it once and you get many diamond file sharpenings out of that one, right?
Yep. And you do the best you can, but I don't ever seem to get a burr.
I don't think you really
I don't
need
think it
a burr.
matters on
Yeah.
this.
I think you just need a sharp edge.
One thing from a historical perspective, maybe this doesn't matter anymore. This is my McNaughton system that I got quite a while ago. And when I got this one, thank you. Here's the Allen wrench. When I got this one at the time, they didn't sharpen these blades like this. And online everyone talked about if you're going to use they actually sharpened them completely across at a diagonal. And it was much harder, I think it was harder to control as I recall. So the first modification they suggested, not they, McNaughton, but the online community, was to turn that angle from a thing that looked like this into a point that looks like this, like they started manufacturing them. So.
And if you go out there online, like Annie mentioned the Robo-Hippie. The Robo-Hippie even does his own grind. He tries to flatten it off because he thinks it's less aggressive.
Yeah, he took this point off, and
Yeah.
it's just the straight
It's
lines
flat,
from this
yeah.
point to that point.
Yeah. And again, just like anything else, there's multiple ways to get in the room. Multiple roads lead to Rome. Figure it out. You know what I'm saying? That's basically true for anything in turning. There is no, this is the way I do it. Doesn't mean that's the way you have to do it.
This is all opinion.
There are some good practices. There are wrong techniques to use. Like Annie mentioned, that the knives have to be on center. They most certainly have to be on center. But there are, sharpening, how you sharpen it, what you do, whether it's flat, whatever works for you.
Look at this. Here we have the tool. When it's at its extension, it's on center, yes? Can you guys see that? Not that well, but take my word for it, it's on center. We bring this up, and all of a sudden, it's gone above center. What's up with that?
It's awfully close.
The tool actually sinks as it extends.
that's designed that way if you listen to McNaughton.
Yep, they say it's designed that way, and from the demo we did earlier, I think it's because when you start a bowl, yes, you're turning the outside and the inside of a bowl at the same time, but you're really concentrating on turning the inside of the back bowl. This face is doing most of the work. And then as this one starts to grab and take hold, the tool sinks. Pretty cool, huh?
I'm impressed.
Are you impressed?
All right, so I'm no expert on this by any stretch. So the McNaughton system, you kind of have to get a feel for what the tool path is going to be, because you have a little bit of this going on when you plunge it in. And then also, I mean, I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but I kind of am looking a little bit at something like this to see what I'm going to get out of this. There may well be a better way to do
No,
it.
generally,
but
that's the way,
that's-
most people put a point here, I've seen it done this way, and then they calculate where your start point is from. So they do exactly what Craig's doing, and rotate the blade back this way, so that you can figure out what your starting
So
angle
you
is.
see, I'm coming in here more or less, something like that, I guess.
Or you can figure, how many bowls do I think I can get out of this? It's green wood. This has to be, what did we say, 16? It's got to be 1.6 inches to dry nicely.
We want to get away from these checks on the outside and all that kind of stuff.
Well, minimum of
We can
that.
maybe get that. And with this one can be a little bit thinner, so we can make one there. We could maybe make one there. Oops, wait a minute. The kerf is, that's a good
3/8 of an inch.
3/8. That's pretty hefty little kerf.
Yep.
Allowing for that, we might get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 bowls out of this.
That's very good. Dale, I've seen that video a number of times. That's also, again, if you're really interested, I don't mean to talk over these guys, but
No, you're doing the right, you're
on
saying exactly the right
McNaughton's
thing.
site, if you're interested in either one, go to YouTube and look it up, or you can go to McNaughton's site. I think it's Cal McNaughton, or I can't remember, I think it's Calton, or you might have to figure out where their site's at, but it's a site, and on their site, they list training videos, and none of the training videos are by them, they're all by third parties. So you will either see, I think Dale Barnard's there, and then from his site, you can link to Robo Hippie and da-da-da-da-da-da. And if you watch those both, I think you'll have a good idea how this system works.
So we figured out we maybe want, how many bowls? 4. So you could do the same thing here and mark out, if I have 4 bowls, you divide this into 4. So you have an idea of what you're shooting for.
I mean, I'm gonna really go through more of that when I do that, so it's basically the same, so.
What I would say is on your first monkeying around with this thing, get 1 bowl out of it, maybe 2. Realistically, this is a pretty big chunk of wood. This may not be your first chunk of wood either. So the only other thing that I would say, there's 2 more things that I would say to remember in my limited experience. One is, like Annie said before you touch this into this piece of wood here, do this. Always, this. Because it'll do it for you anyway. And the more you're down like this when you touch it, the more dramatic it'll be. So do that first. The second thing is, and I'll show you this if I successfully start here, is I would always make a very generous curve. At least, I would open it up at least another half the thickness of this thing, as much as I'm comfortable doing, because the other thing that'll get you in trouble is if you have lots of chips stuck in the curve. And
That could also cause a catch time.
that's
very
a
much.
good way to get a catch, yeah. So I want to just about go straight in, we said here, right? So I'm just going to come in. This is kind of weird when
You started the inside small bowl first.
It depends, again, you could do it either way.
Yeah, but if you want the
If you were doing, let me just make a comment, if you were doing this way, I would suggest you turn a recess in the outside so that you could quickly flip your remaining core over and turn the recess on. Or if you do what you guys suggested and turn small to big, which I'll do, you can turn them all off at once. But it doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable doing.
Here's the other thing that I would say to you. If you're not experienced and you're fumbling your way around trying to figure out what to do, I would start with the biggest bowl and make sure you get the biggest bowl out of it.
They always call that the money bowl. You want
Because
the money
you don't
bowl.
want to end up with two bowls that you could have taken out of smaller blanks and then not get the one that you want from the outside. So I'm coming at this.
Very good, Annie.
Yeah, I don't pretend, like I said, I'm no huge expert on this. I'm telling you how I would do it. I would, I'd take it off. If I was going to get another bowl, turn it around and make sure the outside shape is what I wanted on the outside, and then flip it back around again a second time. But if you're trying to if you're trying to get 6 bowls out of this, you need to get a different guy to show you how to do it. I just don't know how to do that. So, yeah.
Inside higher, you know.
We can't hear what you're saying.
I can't hear. I'm
He's
sorry.
saying
Higher,
inside higher is what he's saying.
you know, you're cutting inside of the bowl, you know.
However, remember, he's going in here, so he's carving out a bowl that's a bowl inside a bowl. So he's cutting the outside of this bowl and the inside of this bowl. He's doing both. So it can't be higher, it can't be lower. It has to be right on the center.
I mean, I think what Andy was talking about is bowl turning in general. This is a little specialty, and again, all these systems are really meant to use knives on center. Slightly above, you don't want to be below, but it could be on or a little above.
Before you turn that on.
I would make another point too, that it's better to use a tenon, because you're taking your first for your outside bowl, and then you reverse what you cut and make a tenon on the inner piece, mount it, and then you can make your next one.
Yeah, but you could do the same thing here, Tim. It's all you need to do is turn the recess right here, so when this piece comes out, you can flip it around, put it on a recess, and put a tenon on it. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but again, that goes back to that point. Many roads to run.
There are arguments to be made for tenons and then just the same amount of arguments to be made for recess. I do recesses because it's just what I'm used to.
So anyway, Craig, I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. I just wanted to make one more point about the cutting height of the tool, though. If you picture from this perspective, I don't know, I don't know if you can see that.
Camera's
Yeah,
over there.
there you go.
You
Where's
can.
that camera?
You see in color bars. So if you see from in this direction now, top to
Just
bottom,
flip
You
it.
had it right.
Yeah, right there. Now you're on the other camera for whatever reason. Okay.
Go
which
back.
one?
Yeah,
This one?
what I'm on there.
He's on that
Can
one.
I do this?
Can you
Do you
go
see
back?
that? Okay, if you look at it this way, this cutting tip is effectively in the middle of this distance. And if you think about the fact that you're cutting a groove in here, the way you have clearance for this tall blade this way is also if you're cutting on center. If you have the most clearance, if you want to think about it that way, right on the center line. If you're up too high or down too low, if you're up too high, say, then this top edge is going to be banging into the side of the bowl. So that's another. I mean, there's more than one reason. The clearance is absolutely a reason you need to have this on center. If you're up too high or too low, you're going to be dragging the bottom of the knife or the top of the knife.
And you can see from how the paint's worn off the steel there. I've done that a bit.
Everybody does that. Yeah. Let's just see if we can
It
do
just
something
means it's
here.
been used a little bit. I mean, I think that's a natural thing from the chips going along.
If you're not making mistakes, you're not doing it right.
Well, I think that would happen just from the chips.
It's not centered, you're way low.
I was in
What
this
happened?
gate. In this gate.
Really?
Nope, you're in the right gate.
Boy, from back here, it looks like it's running a half-inch low.
No, that's pretty good.
You're at least an inch below.
One thing I heard advised, excuse me, Dave, was to loosen up your belt just a little bit.
Well, it's apparently loose enough.
Now, that was a pretty good squeal.
You're low.
Now, that's the problem I've been having, is just catch after
How could
catch
it be low
after
there?
catch.
It's stay on center, right?
That is a titch low. If I look at it
It's
from
not
here.
an inch low.
No, a titch.
Yeah.
Maybe half a titch.
I'll tell you, from here, it looks a half-inch low.
It's not.
And on my eye level's right.
I almost got a level for that. Look at it from the end down here, Craig. Let's see what you think. Look at it from over there.
Measure from the tip to the bottom of the lathe and see if you're 10 inches.
Would you say I'm right on?
Well, clearly here we're on center. We would agree with that? Yes? Which would be,
Maybe just a hair below center.
That's.
so what they're saying is measure out here.
Yeah, but you really want to be on center. Everything's really relative to the center of the thing, right? I've had the videos I've seen.
Well, let's do
How about
a little more.
measured from the tip to the lathe?
You want to start on?
Shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Man, I'll tell you.
You think it's low?
I think it's just
It's
a
not
hair
far
low.
enough for it to matter yet, though.
You're low.
Oh, yes. Craig, go look at it from over there. From where they're sitting, and you'll see.
Leave it around, leave it around. You
Let
can
me
see
hold
it.
it.
It doesn't go up and down whether it's running or
I
not.
think that's more of an optical illusion than anything else. That's from my opinion. I think it's an optical illusion
Take
because
your
the knife's
tape and
hot.
measure
An
from
optical
the tip
illusion.
Yeah.
to the lathe.
Doesn't that look like it's low?
Put a pencil mark on center. That wood's gonna be dry.
Yeah, the wood's gonna be dry by the time we figure this out.
Hold your pencil in the middle of the damn hole so you get it. Turn it on, touch it with the pencil.
This may explain why I've been having catch after catch. I'm not on center.
Right there.
The center of the bowl. I have a suggestion.
Yeah,
Take a piece of newspaper,
I think
one
it's
side together, put a mark on it, fold it in half, and find your center.
piece good.
Dangerous.
That's assuming we can fold anything in half.
Here's where you're at right there.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
That's
pretty.
pretty centered. Go, Craig. You the man. Tear it up.
Let's try a little more. We're gonna get through beneath this,
One of the problems that he has, he's going to be trying to fit pretty quick.
doing what?
You don't want the fit of which is pretty hard. Put up the thicker.
I'm starting to think I got a defective set.
Or recess.
Rick, are you starting to rethink your choice? Did it break?
Anybody wanna buy it?
Sales price on my McNaught system is
Dollar.
I don't get it. So you're having the same problem I've been having, catch after catch after catch.
You want to try it?
And we're cutting into Dave's time. Yo!
One of the things I will tell you is just to keep, while Craig's figuring out, unless you're ready, is I have and I use on a regular basis with something like this. This is a tailstock extender. I think this costs $10 or $15. You can get them anywhere. Any metal supply company, MCS, McMaster Car, doesn't matter whether it's for metal. You're looking for whatever taper you have to whatever, on both sides. So for instance, I have a number 3 Morse taper, so it's 3 to 3. Because my tailstock's a 3, my coil's a 3. This is a 2, so this is a 2 to 2. And what this is used for is, it's right here, is to extend your live center out. Now I grabbed the wrong one from that, so I couldn't.
a quick reset. Just a different knife. I don't know if it's going to make any difference or not. We'll see. kind of a mess.
It might fit over your hat if you just turn your hat backwards.
That's all right. I just didn't want anyone to see my greasy hair.
It might fall down. It's set to go over a hat.
I'm redundant.
Let me get those right away so I can use them.
All right. So that seems like it's going in a little bit easier. I'm not sure why, really.
All his
Is that really
force,
loose?
if there's, pardon me?
Is that pretty loose? I don't feel like I'm struggling.
No.
I don't know why it's slipping. I mean,
Oh, the
the belt's slipping.
I did loosen it a little bit.
I don't think I'm binding. I think it's just loose. Let me just tighten it up a tiny bit.
Lift it up right on it. No, push it down.
There you go. For Zackle.
Hey Craig, would you recommend doing this like you're doing it, that procedure right now, or with the tailstock in place?
I don't think you have room. It'd be nice to be able to do it with the tailstock, but see where this handle is? Or maybe you can't see. I'm across the ways over here to get started. Just this particular shape. Sorry, I was sort of ready. This particular shape, I had to, with this knife. Let me just talk for a second.
I think I got it.
I had, with this knife is a little bit, I don't have the same, this is one of my knives. We just tried it to see if there's some difference. I don't know if it's just sharpened a little bit different, or maybe it's just a smaller knife that's making it easier, I'm not sure. But in any event, I'm coming in at a little bit different angle now, just because, see, this isn't a very,
These don't feel very sharp.
see, this is a more of a shallow and shorter one, so I'm coming in now. I didn't come straight in like I did with the other one. I'm approaching it at a little bit more of an angle right out of the gate, so that I can get to the bottom before I get to here. Because otherwise, let me just do a little bit more of this so I'm not eating into all of Dave's time here. Which one was that?
Next gate.
Which one was I in, the bottom one or this one?
No.
Second.
I mean, the way these knives are worked is you should really work backwards, and the first one it fits in is the right one. So if you work from higher to lower, the first knife that it fits in is generally the right one to use. That's what they say on their site.
For the one that gets you the center.
I'm just making this a tiny bit wider. Pretty soon here I'm going to move the whole gizmo up a little bit closer. You can hear that vibration. You can imagine how much it would be vibrating if you had a little Talon tuck on here. So this kind of work, it's really important to have a substantial tuck holding this. You saw how I broke that other one off pretty easily. Now, just because I can, I'm gonna. Now, I don't like to get really close because you're monkeying around with this tip here, but now that I'm in a little bit, now I can go ahead and move this a little bit closer. Now Dave would say, and he's going to show you something that might change the geometry, and maybe it will.
Wouldn't you want to have the blade in while you move up?
Well, I am moving it.
So you move along the arc?
I'm just kind of feeling where it's going to go,
I
yes.
see.
So right there, that's where I'm at. Again, this is where you start getting sloppy and you stick it in like this. Always make sure you have this handle lifted up when you're putting it in. And the second, and right too, the second you see those chips not coming freely out of there, stop immediately, figure out what's going on. I think I loosened it up a little bit.
Greg, there's a remote right there by your belly, remote on and off switch.
The other thing, no matter what system,
Slow this down. Yeah.
no matter what system you have,
Thanks.
as you get near the bottom of your bowl, where the bowl turns across the bottom, you run into some, it's a rougher cut. It just is. I don't care whether you're using the McNaughton system, the one-way system. You can listen to the videos, they'll all tell you that that's an area where you have to kind of slow down a little bit, your feet and whatever. One of the things you'll also notice with Craig, Craig has no force. He's not doing this. All of his force, if anything, is into it's pushing straight ahead. The bowl, this is what I was getting back to before, the radius of the cutter is determining. It's passing through those gates. And if it's a hook, I can make it straight to start, but as I get through there, that hook, you know, that radius takes over and it drives the...
So Dave, you're saying the radius of the knife is really making the cut? It's the
Yeah, I mean, you
radius
can
of the knife
alter that
that's
slightly,
making the
but
cut.
You're not
yeah,
making it
yeah.
anything.
You're just pushing that straight ahead. Now you can guide it a little bit so it cut, you know, that arc goes this way or that way a little bit, but I mean, you can't cut much. It's not like you can cut an extremely tight radius with a knife.
I'm just opening up this groove just a tiny bit toward my inside bowl.
Yes, the laws of geometry. In truth, just to show you how easy this system is, and I'm not just to be fair, Craig hasn't done a pour in 4 years, 3 years?
Probably, at least.
Wow.
He didn't practice at all before he got here. This is it.
Can I try that for a second?
Yep, just let me open this up. I want to open up the groove just a little bit. I think it'll make it, I couldn't get it off the inside, so I'm going to take it off the outside. Just a hair, just to make the chips are just starting to clog up a little bit.
In terms of speed, generally it's a lot slower than bolt turning, but it's, you know, I've seen anywhere between 1,000 RPMs and 500. Craig's right now at about 500, but some people do it quicker. It's whatever you're comfortable with, just like it is with the bolt. I mean, whatever works.
The other thing, I'm getting hung up a little bit right here on this corner, so you have to keep moving this away, because I was getting here and I can't do anything then.
You're locking the...
Right, I'm locked in the
curve.
in the crook, I guess, the kink. Anyway, I don't, so we'll just, and the other, I mean, this is kind of weird, but you can kind of see the angle that I'm going in there. You can take your thumb, kind of pull it out a little bit. You could put a mark on it. I'll just do that so I can show you. Put my thumb there. And then you can set it on top, right over the top of that, which is sort of there, and you can kind of see more or less where you're at. You know, I'm like halfway to the bottom, or a little bit past halfway, or something like that. Just to give you an idea, you have a ways to go still to get in there.
Is there any WD-40 up there anywhere?
No, is there some back there?
Sometimes, I spray my...
Spray your knives, Don?
No, not the knives, with the finger and the gate.
Oh.
That helps a little
Or
bit.
candle wax might help too, yeah.
I've heard of people using that on their knives, using, you know, whatever. Again, what you're looking at is you're looking at drag. Drag's created from the chips going around. It's...
Maybe this will blacken up the cherry.
I spray the gates, I spray up here, I spray the blade, and it doesn't seem to last very long.
You want to give it a...
No, it doesn't.
I would
Give it a
love to
whirl.
give it a whirl.
It should last.
Did you ever try paraffin?
I have not tried paraffin. That seems like it would
I use
last
that a
long.
lot at home. I think that helps a lot as well.
going to be on center.
It's a different thing than WD-40 because the paraffin, WD-40 kind of penetrates.
Yeah,
I'm turning in a curve that somebody else made. I don't really know how deep it goes, so I'm going to go in and feel to the bottom, come back a little bit, make sure I'm up against here, and then fire it up. Whoa, look at that. We got chips to
we
clear.
got chips, that's what
A
I
little
was
bit.
trying to.
Come on. Come on. You know you want to.
One of the other things that you can run into with either of these systems, if chips get in front of the cutter, you're not going to cut.
Yeah.
So one of the things to always check is if you're going in, is if you, they always tell you to rotate the bowl the opposite way to take the chips away from the cutter, and then set your cutter, and then turn it on. The reason is if the chip gets in front of the cutter, you're just going to push it in there, it's not going to cut. No force.
Can we try my blade? Because I've never cut so smoothly.
Why don't we do that afterwards if I can make a comment?
Sure.
'Cause I
That's kind of amazing how easily that cuts. As a wood turner, you want to hold your blade like this. Be kind to your massage therapist and hold it like this. Don't tighten up your shoulders like that. But
Andy is a massage therapist.
used to it.
Retired.
I mean,
These people went from looking like rookies to pros all in a matter of a couple
Tell
minutes.
me.
Well,
I don't know about pros.
looks like we're not going to hurt anybody, maybe. There you go. Go ahead.
Oh yeah?
Keep going. You got it
How am
now.
I doing? How am I doing? Booyah! One problem I think that I'm having, I have this exact same lathe. It's heavy as all get out, and I'm on a wooden floor where the joists are, I believe, 24 inches apart. I'm on a trampoline. Now, I put in an extra beam under the floor. I'm going to put in another one. We're thinking about putting in a cement pad, but don't buy one of these systems if you're on a springy floor. It just won't work. Whoa! We got a wobble. Where's your chuck key?
Push it.
Push. There. It adjusted.
Squeezing that water.
We're squeezing, I mean, seriously, if I have wax emulsion on here, if that wax wasn't on here, I had it in a bag, there's probably about 3 ounces of water in the bag. These were very green.
That could be why it's hot.
This is like night and day. Me turning on a springy floor. I may have a McNaughton system for sale.
I've never had to readjust the chuck so much.
You never had a what?
Readjust the chuck so much. Okay.
You saying something about my patches?
No, you haven't had it that wet.
No, I don't know, I just,
Are you sure you don't want to go ahead with your system?
Yeah.
I turned it on.
think we're about here. And that does seem to be the hardest place to cut. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna choke up on a little. Is that what you're saying?
No, the banjo is loose.
Oh, banjo.
Are you serious?
This is loose. This,
No, now it's the banjo.
The banjo, he sure enough is right, it was loose. This is interesting.
yeah, you're getting
What's happening here is that all I'm doing is holding this up and it is actually drawing itself in. Wow.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Is it really?
Yeah, when you get down to the bottom.
That wooden floor is not doing me any favors, is it? I think, maybe could knock it
Start, you're not too far away, it's sounding different now.
Yeah, it's moving.
Is it?
Yeah.
Start to.
Just take a tiny bit more and then you can just bang.
You ready?
Literally.
There's still a, unless it's just right on the surface.
Yeah, there it is. She's gonna get it.
What they're saying is as you get towards the bottom, you have to work hard to keep the chips coming out because there's lots of things for them to get stuck on and they have to come farther out to
It's
get
a
out.
longer trip. Oh, look at that.
See, I would put it under.
Hey, Craig, check the lighting here.
What's that? What a recovery! Ta-da!
Ta-da! You can see the change in angle that Craig made, I believe, or Annie made. You know, right here to here, but
Yeah.
understand, radius, same radius out a little further. You can't do anything but cut the radius. The only thing that what you can do is you can mix and match knives to come up with two different radii. So again, that's a part of being creative about what you're trying to do.
Right.
So, maybe just as a real quick segue. Good job.
We made it.
Can you get a bowl on one way in 15-minute thing?
I'm going to try, but I want to go through something real quick.
Okay.
I lost my pen, so let me here. I think this is probably more.
You want a regular pen?
No, pen. Would you hold this for me?
Regular
Craig?
pen like
Would
this?
you hold this for me?
Yeah.
Just hold that right in there.
Like this, you mean?
Yeah. No, I have one. I might need that one.
Here's a pen.
No, I'm fine. I'll use both of those. But what I wanted to do was, can you slide that over here so I can get out of here? I'm going to.
Which way?
I want to flip this around to. I'll use it.
Which way do you want me to move?
Yeah, you're fine. One of the things I want to talk about that's probably, and I'll try to get into the one-way thing real quick, but one of the things I wanted to talk about that I think is important for either system in your look-see is what I'm just going to show you right here. So, I'm going to stand off to the side, and I need this. One of the things that we talked about before was flexibility and whatever the systems. So what I have is, if you can see this, is a one-way knife kind of design on that screen. I don't know whether we can get a camera on that or not, or no, but you'll see a couple things real quick. I just want to use I have 2 points of contact here.
So
That depends where you start your tool in the first place.
No, it doesn't. No, not with the, no, it doesn't. It depends upon where, in that system, it depends upon where you start. But people talk about the one-way system as not being flexible. This is really the one-way tool. But the only thing I'm trying to show, and it applies to that system also, it's point of attack and so it's no different on that system. It's where I start at, and also where I start at back here in terms of distance away from in their case, the distance that her tool rest is away. In my case, it's the distance my center line of the base is away. But I can make those, one knife do a bunch of different things. And that's my only point here. So flexibility is in your mind. You know, if you just follow the directions or not the directions, One Way's video or whatever, you're going to end up with bowls that look like this, like I'll show you. That's fine, but I'm just trying to tell you there is flexibility in both of the systems. It's point of attack and position of where your knife is starting from. You know, I can control. As I go to the left of center with the one-way system, I'm going to create a sharper, deeper, sharper attack line. If I go this way, I'm creating a flatter line, even with the same radius knife. I haven't changed my knife. I don't know if you can see that. There's the knife that I'm using right there. Can you see this radius? This knife is this knife right here.
We got 3 cameras now.
It's this knife right here.
That's a knife?
Yes.
Come on.
Again, what one way is that this is the point of contact. There's the center line right there, right here, this post. So it's swinging about, that radius is swinging about there. Here's the cutter out here. So if I go this way, I end up with a shallower knife. If I go this way, I end up with a sharper, deeper cut with the same radius. That's one of the big points that I wanted to get to. People want to talk about flexibility. These are cores that I did. You can take that down. I'm done with that. Thank you. If you would get your stuff off there, I would appreciate it. These are cores that I did with, this is out of a piece of pear. And I got 4 cores out of this bowl. Generally, I would agree with the 1/10 wall radius. So if you're 12 inches, 1/10 is roughly 1 inch. If you're less than that, I mean, again, I probably use 1 inch down to about 8 inches, and then I might get down to 3/4 of an inch. It's hit or miss. I mean, when you get up to 18 inches, do you need 1.8 inches? No, you could probably get by with 1.5 inches or 1 3/4 inches. You know, again, it's a matter of just doing it, and there are no set in stone rules. I mean, if your bowl really is all you're trying to do is create a bowl form that when it dries, it gives you enough room to return it. So if you turn it too small, you'll never get a finished circle out of it because it warped too much for you to clean it up. That's all you're trying to do, is be able to clean the outside and the inside up. So, you know, if you wanted to finish turn these and leave them warped, you could turn them down to a 1/2 inch. You know, One Way will tell you that there's general roll sets for their knives. And the general roll set for their knives are following, okay? So again, this was the idea. The closer to center, deeper cut. Further away from center, I'm saying center line, sideways, you know, going in and out with the banjo. And also away from the bowl, you change your radius in the bowl. One Way has 4 knives. Their 4 knives are, one is designed to cut between a 5, and these are general rolls. I can get this to cut whatever bowl I want. I mean, again, you can't, if the radius is 5 inches, you're going to have a hard time getting much more than maybe a 6-inch radius out of it. You know, you can't change the radius. You can modify it slightly, but you know, it is what it is. So generally what I'm showing you here is the range of the knives that they give you. I can make that whatever, to some extent, I want. Not greatly different, but different. And so I disagree more or less on the lower end. I mean, it's how far away I start. You know, if I make my, picture this, if I wanted to say that bowl was way out here, I could core out something very shallow and not in a different radius, okay? It looks like in the bowl. But again, in general, knife 1 is 5 to 9 inches. The outside of the radius from center line of that post, where I told you it started, to the outside of the cutter is 5 inches. All the cutters are 3/8 of an inch wide. Knife 2 goes from 9.5 to 12 1/4. Knife 3 goes from 13 to 15, and again, the radiuses are 6 3/16, 7 1/4. And knife 4 goes from 15 to 17.5. Now, again, that's what you're pulling out. So if that's the case, you're almost at a 20-inch bowl for your, that when you're using this knife, the outside bowl that you just left is roughly 20 inches. Now, I will tell you this, and Craig and I had this discussion. Once you turn a couple, even 16-inch bowls, those are big bowls. I've turned to many of them, and that's fun. But you better have a lot of friends to give them to, and I do, because your cupboard's can only handle so many 16-inch bowls, and there's only so many uses for them. You know, my lathe can handle 24 inches. Well, unless you want to make a bird bath or a baby bath, I mean, 24 inches is fun to do one time, but hell's bells, what do you do with it? So,
what you talk about a bowl like shaped like a bird bath. And you want to make a shallow cut, you don't have the length of that cutter to get in and break the inner cord loose.
No, yeah, you do, but you don't need to get as close as you think you need to get. I'm trying to see.
This is going to go for a circle.
No, you don't. The mistake that you're making is that, understand. I'll show you these. Here, I'll pass these around. These were a set of, these are ash bowls. Okay, they're just wax, so they feel cool and so forth. They're waxed. They're not totally dry, obviously, but you'll see that in the center, there's still, I don't even need to get that close to snap that off. On a big bowl, 4 inches and you can break it off. It'll snap right through it. Generally, you'll see if I get a bowl, I'll be going like this, and as soon as it breaks, I mean, why waste your knife? You know, I probably broke that one through. Look how clean it broke. I mean, it's no big deal. You know, so you don't have to get the absolute center.
Yeah, but on that, with that small cutter that you held up.
Well, you can't use that one, but you can use the bigger one. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, you do need a complement of cutters, but again, I'm saying I gave you the rough ranges. That small cutter was good from 5 to 9. I might say it's good from 5 to 12, depending on what you're doing, but it's not much beyond that. It depends on what you're doing. You know, you could probably use a bigger cutter for smaller bowls. It depends, and you can make adjustments, you know. But again, it depends upon what you're doing. You don't need to get as close as you think you need to get. I'm trying to see.
This is going to go for a circle.
No, you don't. The mistake that you're making is that, understand. I'll show you these. Here, I'll pass these around. These were a set of, these are elm. They're not elm, ash bowls. Okay, they're just wax. So they feel cool and so forth. They're waxed. They're not totally dry, obviously, but you'll see that in the center, there's still, I don't even need to get that close to snap that off. On a big bowl, 4 inches and you can break it off. It'll snap right through. Generally, you'll see if I get a bowl, I'll be going like this, and as soon as it breaks, I mean, why waste your knife? You know, I probably broke that one through. Look how clean it broke. I mean, it's no big deal. You know, so you don't have to get the absolute center.
Yeah, but on that, with that small cutter that you held up.
Well, you can't use that one, but you can use the bigger one. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, you do need a complement of cutters, but again, I'm saying I gave you the rough ranges. That small cutter was good from 5 to 9.
I might say it's good from 5 to 12, depending on what you're doing, but it's not much good much beyond that. It depends on what you're doing. You know, you could probably use a bigger cutter for smaller bowls. It depends, and you can make adjustments, you know. But again, it depends upon what you're doing. And what I would tell you, one method to doing a cut is, and I'm going to throw a bowl on here quickly, is, you know, if I were laying cuts out, like I spent the time and laid this one out last night, and I'll quickly talk
You want
about
this
this.
one off?
Yeah, if you would. Sure. You can just set it over there.
Which way? This way.
So you'll see that overhead, can you see that? Are we overhead? I'm trying to hurry up, guys, but it's kind of...
Doing good. You're fine, we have time.
You'll see that I laid this out. I lost my markers and I apologize. I must have laid them down back here.
Here's a marker.
I had two. You'll see that you know, I kind of laid this out, and if I were being anal, when I did this for your sake and not for mine. You know, I would just tell you that you need to do something to make sure that you get, and I was just tracing pencil lines. I went through it and I measured it out with the rule. So my first bowl, I think in this one this is 16 1/4. So I went down an inch, I think 1 3/4 inches. This was like 16 1/4. I went down 1 5 1 1/2 or something, I can't remember. And what I did was 1 3/4 inches, I'd say. And so I can't remember, it's on that chart. But I needed to add the 3/8 in of the cutter. So my second bowl is right around 12 inches on the outside. My third bowl was right around 9 1/2 inches after I subtract the inch off of each side, plus another 6 3/4 for the cutter. And again, so on and so forth. I keep going down that way. I would lay that out on the bowl just so you have an idea. Then the other thing that I would do is I would work from the back, such that I had this on a slide here. And I'll do the second smallest one, and maybe the bigger one for you. Such that these different colors reflected the bowls. I'm sorry. So biggest bowl right here, second biggest bowl, third, and I could have gotten 4 out of this 16 1/4 inch blind. And these gaps right here are the 3/8 inch. Can you pick that up for me, please? Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Are the gaps for the cutter. So again, you know, 1, 2, 3 cores, and you'll see that I always start with a hollow. What I will tell you is, and what we were saying before, if you wanted to do it from the inside out, you could do it the way I'm going to do it. If you wanted to do it from the outside in, I would turn a recess in the middle, because when you do it from the outside in, if I turn this bowl off first, I don't have any way of holding this. If I put a recess up here, I can reverse it, turn a tenon on it quickly, and I can keep using this recess for every bowl after that. So that would be an important reason to have a recess in the top. So if I had this be a recess and I wanted to work from biggest to smallest, every time I part this one off, so that one's gone, this has a tenon on it. I need to put a tenon on this core from here up. Well, I reverse it on that recess, put a tenon on it, and reverse it again, and then do the core. Do the same thing for this one on the same recess. Do you see? I mean, is that making sense? Yeah. So, I mean, that's the way of doing it. If you don't want to do it, the way I'm going to do it is small to big. I won't do the smallest bowl because I'll try to get something else done. But the point is that if you do it the way I'm suggesting, you can do it all without ever taking that off the chuck.
And then when you go ahead and and there's no benefit of leaving a tenon on there in my mind's eye, because when it dries, you're gonna have to retrue the tenon up anyway. So if there's none on there, you put it either on your vacuum chuck, or you put it between, on the, reverse it and put the inside of the bolt to the jaws, bring your tailstock up, level it, create a chuck for final
Longworth chuck.
turning, and do it.
Longworth chuck.
Or you could use the Longworth chuck, but
I still think it's a speed issue, but whatever floats your boat. That said, I want to get back to this page. I'm just trying to see if I covered. So, I'm going to throw my I had a different chuck on, or different jaws, but it's not that big of a deal. I normally bring my tailstock up to help me set my jaws to make sure I'm up against it.
You want it?
No, I'm fine. I'm used to working on a 24-inch lathe also, so I'm surprised. Holy shit, that didn't go under there. So the one-way system is based upon the following.
Where's the banjo?
So this is the base. And generally what I would do is I would make my marks on here. And I'm just going to rely on what I did on my system at home last night. So generally, to end up with what I wanted, I think, and I would use this, but I turned the tenon down for the next size down chuck, so I can't use the original bowl that I was going to demo on. So I apologize. I had to bring my chuck in the so 1.5 inches. So in the mix-up, when I got home last night, not mix-up, but trying to get everything ready, that was the only thing I think I ended up forgetting. So what I'm going to do is say 1.5 inches in. And normally I'd have the banjo up here and I'd kind of arc a line. I'm just relying on my fingers here. And I'd hold that same thing to get to the other side, arc a line, and then I'd go 3/8 of an inch in, I'd measure 3/8 out, and say, and I'd arc a line, and just imagine those things are straight. I'm not going to go through the effort to put the banjo back on and pull it. So, what I would do is I would get the biggest knife that I was going to use. And for this one, the biggest knife I was going to use was the number 3. Now, what's important about this system, and Dave left me use his because my knives in my system are designed, these are Dave's, yeah, for, there's no difference in the knives, but the difference is that, you see this right here, that screw? That's how you set center height. So these same knives work on a lathe from, I think, 14 inches through 24 inches. And it's a matter of adjusting this up and down. Obviously on my lathe, it's 24 inches, so it's 12 inches the center from the base. There's a peg in this, so my base looks a little different. It's higher and so on and so forth. But the idea is that the height of those knives should be set such that you're right on. I typed it down too much. Never fail here. But such that you're right on center. You can see that and the cutting tip is right there. It's right on center. So Dave, you did a good job adjusting your knife. Thank you. But what I want to do is I want to try to get the biggest core out. So I'm just trying to give you some rough ideas of what I would go through. I'm having his thing is not cooperating. Anyway, so what I would do is I would come out here, and that's not correct, but I'd set this knife at a roughly the right angle. And what I normally would do is not do it this way. I would take my bowl, start with my bowl off the lathe, and I'll just show you. I really don't normally go through all this stuff for me because I guesstimate it, but I'm just showing you the way that I would precisely set it up. Is come into here, and what I want to do is I want to set this so that it's 1 3/4 inches or 1.5 inches. I'm looking for my square that I had. What's that? No.
Square.
There it is, right here. And I just want to use it to come across the jaws and use this. So at the top of my jaws, I want that to be roughly 1.5 inches away from the bottom. You see that? Yeah. So I need to tap her out just a little bit. That's probably too much. We'll try to get. Yeah, I guess you can be as anal as you want. I'd say that's pretty damn close. So it's good enough. So the next thing that I would do is use my markers. And I would probably use a square at that point. And if you want, this is kind of more anal than anything, but I could square this base up and draw lines. That's my reference point. And alcohol takes those right off. That's my reference point for starting. To end up at that point. So next thing I do is I throw my.
Tighten it down. Would you want to tighten it down?
No, I know where I'm at, so I don't necessarily need to tighten that right now. I'm not going to cut yet.
Just come back to those lines, right?
Yeah, but I need to slide in and out. This goes rather quickly. I may be making it look harder than it is, and I apologize if I. Anyway, so the next thing to do is I'm going to put this on that line, or close to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this in and out till I'm on my, that's right where I want to be. So I'm working this way now. So, and I'm on that line, because if I know if I'm on that line, I'm going to end up with the right core depth. Okay? So, I'm set. You could go through this with each knife, but I could tell you that with the next core down, you could just put the knife in and you'll be fine. Once you set it for one knife, unless you do something really crazy, you could go through and you can check it with each knife. And what I've also done, if you're really anal, Dave, your thing's sliding around over here, buddy.
So on the ground.
That's that blue paint.
Why do you have blue bolts on there, Dave?
I don't. Dave, this is Dave.
You know when you drop stuff in your shavings, are hard to see? I started painting everything small blue.
I have a 50-pound magnet, Dave, because I'm not sure I'd see that. So when I drop stuff, what I have in my shop is
Bigger one of these.
it'll pick up 50 pounds. So if I lost this screwdriver here from 6 inches away, oh, okay, there it is.
There's a couple of us bought them.
I think I had one of those in here one time, and everybody was like, oh, yeah!
You all know Barringer, he probably doesn't have a spare piece of sawdust in his shop. My shop.
Like hell.
DD.
You should, Craig was in my shop, what did it look like? He had to pick something up the other day.
If you looked around, you could find sawdust.
So anyway, I buffed that, I'm just gonna tighten it down, and I'm looking for my, I didn't bring my blue handle to tighten my wrenches down, so I need a 4mm. Here it is right here. I'm all right, thank you. I appreciate your help, I really do.
That little handle I have in my thing with an Allen wrench, little round handle.
Oh, is it in there?
Yeah.
I left it in your toolbox.
Little round bit.
This is your handle. I think it's your handle. I think I left mine in here. Maybe it's my handle. I don't know. No, it's yours. So the other part of this system is what I do with your, here they are these fingers. And I guess I need this one right here. That's your third knife too, and I was looking for, where did your first knife go? That may be mine. You had your first knife marked, right? No, here's yours, I'm sorry. You don't have your number one knife. Anyway, there's marks on it. What this is going to be purely used for is, that's kind of my tool rest. And as you go in, that goes in the kerf and supports that knife through the cut. Again, this is also set such that you should have some contact there, a rub. And again, same thing. Can you see there's a nut and a lock nut and a bolt with an Allen key. Actually, once you loosen the knot nut, you can do that by hand. So the idea is I'll just try to get this as close as I can. For right now, the finger doesn't mean shit to me. I'm using that post. And so I'm going to come right through there and start my cut. Now with this system, I could have my tailstock up because the way this thing is with this offset, this offset in the knife. You see that offset? It's down below. I could have my tailstock up and have, and that's why I was showing you that extender in there. Unfortunately, I brought the extender. I specifically bought a number 2 adapter for this meeting. I gave the $15 and I figured to hell with it, but guess which one I brought today? I brought the one, my one-way has a number 3 Morse taper. When I packed up last night, guess which one I grabbed? So,
This one over here.
Now, what I will tell you, see the tip? I'm not really doing anything right here at all. I think I should be a one-way salesman today, huh? Just to remind you, if someone wants to come up and do this, you could be my guest. Does someone want to come up and try? I just push. You don't have to push, but yeah, keep it in.
rarely used.
Well, again, I mean, I'll be honest, I think both systems are equally, I think it's just a matter of, if you watch Dale, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bill. Yeah, I'm not deep enough right now. I'm gonna get there real quick, though. Generally, what Bill's talking about, this is gonna go in there, but I don't usually do that until you're extended a little bit. It's just in the way, kind of. My hands are, at least that's, I guess. Now, just the same way as with those guys were saying before. I could use multiple knives to do this. So you see that vibration? Now probably I should be, I'm getting too far out over that rest maybe. There's a little vibration there. So I'm going to do exactly what Bill suggested.
What kind of cutters on the tip of them?
It's an M4 cutter. And what M4 is tool steel. So it's a high-speed steel, okay? M4 is just a type of steel. I mean, there's different A2, M4, whatever.
And it's on there with a set
It's a
screw.
replaceable insert, so to speak, okay? But this will go through several sharpenings. You can either sharpen it by hand, or for 10 bucks they sell a jig, and what that jig does is just get your finger further away from the cutter. The two sharpening points are there's an edge right here, and that, can you see what I'm pointing at?
No, why don't, maybe you can.
Well, you can look at it after.
See if you yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay, so there's an edge right here. Where are we
Now
at?
you have it right there, Dave.
Right.
Perfect.
So there's an edge right here, slanted. There's an edge on the bottom, slanted up, to make a knife this way. And then you want to sharpen, these are the other two cutting edges, these wings. And how you sharpen that is just sharpen the top. So they have a little jig that basically holds that, and you can just boom, boom against your wheel, and then it'll stand it up. And the jig comes with the thing to set the proper angle. I can show you that, and basically just touch that on your grinder, and you're set to go again. Or, don't go to your grinder, and you can use a diamond file to do the same thing. Whatever floats your boat. I like using the jig only because it doesn't take that long, and secondly, it's my hand. I mean, it's just easier to hold things, and it's just, I can be more delicate. Now, I sharpen things by hand and whatever, and Dave would tell you he sharpens his by hand. I don't think there's any pro or con to doing either.
Put your support in.
Yeah, put your.
Oh, that's what I was going to do.
Switch your camera.
Someone distracted me.
Switch your camera. Switch your camera.
I have this little too tight. So, again, what happens is this slides in. You see how that's sliding in, that curve? I back it off just slightly so it's not on the bottom. And what I want to do, the other thing is I can line that up by just going over and feeling my way through there. So now that's lined up across the knife. See that?
Can you make that groove any wider with that kind of a...
Yeah, I can move that. I can move the cutter all around. This is for my wrench. I think this is it right here. So I can move this thing all around. I could go in there and change the curve. I could use two cutters, two different radii. That's what I was saying before. I'm not doing that right now. I'm just trying to keep it simple for a demo for you guys, but the sky's the limit. I mean, I'm not trying to be tough, but it's really, you know, you need to... You know, they don't... Does anybody teach you everything there is to know about anything you buy? No, you have to kind of figure it out as you're going, oh, I can use it for this, or I can do that. I'm just showing you some examples. People talk about this system. I remember when I first looked at systems, and I probably bought the, and I was, you know, I had probably more money than brains, but I bought both, shortly one after the other, but they're both as flexible as one or the other. I mean, maybe the count, I don't know. I don't get into that argument, but I don't want to make you just walk away from here thinking that you can only do these
these shapes, but, you know, people, it's a common comment is, these are the only shapes that that cutter will do. That's bullshit. And I just showed you that with that, I mean, excuse my terminology, but it's bullshit.
It's what now?
Now, one of the things that I would tell you to do is while that's in there, you can rotate this. They always tell you to rotate it backwards to get the shavings away from the cutter so when you're going in. And you should really start the lathe up with the cutter in there, not against the wood, but in there. That way you don't get, the worst thing what you can do is you can get shavings coming down against the finger, or you could trap shavings between what you want to cut and what you're cutting. They're not going to go anywhere, but they're going to wedge against the cutter, and they're going to prevent you from ever cutting anything. I mean, I could go a lot quicker here. And again, speeds, you can pull with the speed. One of the ways generally I can tell when I'm getting close is you'll start seeing shavings come out on that end. But in this case, you can see where my cutter's at right now. When I get close to center, that bar is going to be somewhat straight across. Anybody want to come up and try? No guts, no glory. I mean, these are days full. Did you come up and break them? Yeah.
This hand is just barely under pressure.
Right.
What's this hand doing?
Nothing. I'm just trying to lightly hold it down. I'm really not doing anything.
I can feel that the blade has a little bit of vibration to it, and it doesn't seem to matter at all.
Yeah.
So with my system, I can get in touch with it.
So I was just trying to clear the cut a little bit. Now I'm getting into that point where I'm getting around that corner, so you might hear a little bit.
He's coming for you, Rick. Rick, are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh, I could put the finger in more. Yeah, you're right. I'm kind of falling asleep there.
More adjustments.
That's what they tell you on the video. You got to make sure you don't fall asleep. Things work too easily, and you want to keep sliding this finger in.
You think about it though, when you're coming down towards the bottom, you're cutting more across the end grain. And when you get towards the bottom and you're banging into end grain.
That slam was probably more, not slam, but that vibration was probably more caused by what Bill said. I should have had the finger going a little bit further. See how? Yeah, I did this one the opposite way of what I was going to do. I was going to cut the other one first. But I don't want to hold you guys up.
see how stuff's coming out the other side. I still have a ways to go, but I just want to show you that when that's not moving yet. I could probably win a little bit more. I should have did that. Kind of like feeling under the gun here.
A little bit.
Okay.
You don't want to knock Rick over.
What's that?
You don't want to knock Rick over?
I'm ready to go.
Whatever the other reason to have the tail stop up.
Ready to cook it, Annie?
Close. I'm getting ready to duck.
Nah, a little bit more.
I don't think you can duck that fast.
Yeah, probably.
That's why, if I would have had my tail stuck, I'd probably have it in here. But again, this is totally said. So he says. You can see that I'm probably doing it.
Okay, last question. February.
You see how close I got the center? About maybe an inch and a half. But you can see that that's a nice, even core.
So is this the only shape you can make?
If someone wouldn't have took the whole damn demo, I could have shown you more. No. I'm only kidding.
Pat, can you zoom in on this a little bit? I want to show you the geometry of the cutters is incredibly different.
Well, again, the cutting part, really, this is really the tracker. The cutting's taking place on these two edges. And also here, it's a clearance thing, but the cutting's taking place. It's more like, what's his face's cutter? The way he grinds it?
Oh, I can't see what you're doing.
Oh, that's what I'm trying
Dale, Robo Hippie grinds his face across. Well, the two sides of this are really ground straight. Relieved, but ground, so they're it's more like a scraper. I mean, these are all doing scraping to some extent.
If I rotated my blade this way, what is that, 90 degrees? I would have pretty much the same shape he's got.
Yeah, but that's just the piercing cut.
That's just the piercing cut.
The
but
cutting's happening back here. That's why I said if I could take this part off and it'd be like the Robo Hippie.
It's interesting how different the geometry of the blades is. That one's going to take a smaller curve, I think.
So, anyway, gentlemen, I appreciate you staying extra. Thank you.
Thanks for the
Hey guys, one thing I forgot to mention earlier.